So the podcast I kind of chose was for a patient that is experiencing a high amount of stress. Looking at his situation, he's coming off of his second ACL, no, yeah, his second ACL tear, and he's still out for the all spring ball. And I had a conversation with the other day. He's just kind of in a bad place right now with his mental health. He's kind of getting down on himself and just in general seeing everybody else practicing who had an ACL tear at the same time as him, just because they're starting to get a little bit more into the mix of spring ball. Not full participation by any means, but more so than he is even. And the precautions that are taken since this is his third ACL, second ACL surgery, is kind of daunting on him, given he's been out of football for a while. Personally, I don't really think this podcast is the one that would specifically work for him. I think it would have to be tailored a little bit more to his specific needs. His stress isn't as general as this podcast kind of like tries to go over. It's more so directed at a certain thing, and I think talking about those specific things in a self-talk recording or script might help him a little bit. He hasn't stated whether the stress has been affecting him outside of athletics, if it's affected other aspects of his life, but I assume it might possibly be. I think if I maybe tweak this podcast a little bit and change the script up so that way it's more specifically geared towards his feelings, towards his lack of participation in the sport, it might be better interested to him or better suited for him. Maybe spinning this so that way it's not only a stress alleviator podcast, but also giving some tips on positive self-talk as well to eliminate the negative thoughts that he might be having from his lack of participation, such as will he be able to even earn his spot back come next season, or will he be able to even participate at the level he used to be playing at, and kind of just seeing his name drop down the depth chart is kind of what's more being an issue towards his mood right now. Also, to kind of give tangibility to what this podcast would do, or what this script could possibly do for the athlete, I would implement the patient stress questionnaire as well. I would say at least, if not weekly, every other week, to kind of see if the self-talk is helping change their mood overall towards their situation that they're in, and reduce the stress caused by it that possibly it be affecting their mood towards their rehab, their mood towards their classwork, and just their position that they have to be in right now because they're injured on the team. So they're just kind of there helping the setup of the team and film mainly. Like I said before, I believe that the main source of this stress probably is because of the timing of his ACL, given that there's other athletes on the team who also tore their ACL at a similar time that are getting some participation and will practice, if not all, have full participation by the end of spring ball. And given the individuality of his situation, it's really nothing that can be done. Hopefully that using this script or a modified version of this script can help him deal with that stress so that way it doesn't affect him in the long term.